My name is Carol Flavin and I'm a railway modeller, and at home I have a layout that is called Edgware and Strines Railway. In 2020 I was going to take this waterfall diorama out to exhibitions at demonstrations. Because they got cancelled, I made a How I Did It video. This one is the second of three and it's about the pond and the river. Hello, my name's Carol Flavin. You may know me or recognise me as being the team leader of the Locoladies, and we were the first female team to enter the Great Model Railway Challenge. I had wanted to make a big crashing waterfall on the layout, but there was never time, so I decided to make one for myself in the form of a diorama. I decided to do some cliffs, a crashing waterfall, and also a pool at the base with flowing river. I took the diorama to Doncaster in February 2020 as a demonstration. That was the last time we went out to a model railway exhibition because, as you know, we got locked down. Because I have a big layout at home and I'm doing a lot of work on it, I decided to use this diorama in my own layout. This is the second video. This is all about how I made the pool at the base with the flowing water, and I hope you find it interesting and you get some useful information from it, and I'm going to show you how I did it now. These are the cliffs that I made in the first part of a set of 3 videos on hints, tips and information about how to make a waterfall diorama. This is where I start to make the pool. This is the water area, which I seal into place with either filler or bits of toilet paper. I then build up layers of toilet paper to create a solid base. And once that's dry, I'm ready to move on. Next stage is to paint the whole model in grey acrylic paint. And because I'm a visual person, I paint the water where the waterfalls are going in, just with some paint to highlight it, and then I make it shiny, because it would be splashed water, by putting some varnish on it. To make the pool look as realistic as possible, I carved out some runoffs on the edge, filled it to make it look as realistic and as solid as possible, and started to do the painting. Now I used a selection of colours here. There's turquoise in there, there is emerald green, there's indigo, there's Payne's grey, there's a small amount of black, and there is some white. And I kept building up the layers to try and get the feeling of movement, using my brush to create that movement until I was moderately happy. I then used a small brush to dab white at the base of the waterfalls, and I decided I needed to put some rocks in. So I carved the rocks out of the foam that I made the cliff faces with, painted them grey, touched them up and highlighted them until they looked like real rocks. And then I spent a bit of time placing them on the layout, putting little bits of scatter and gravel on top of them, and also into the base of the pool, so that in the same way that you would have rocks. Once I was happy with the base, I put white all over it. The white being heavy structure gel, and the idea of the white heavy structure gel is to give a real feel of movement. Now it doesn't stay white, it dries clear. It does take a while, but it is worth waiting. I apply this, put it on using spatulas. There's a pointed one and a rounded ended one there, and I move it across the heavy structure gel until I'm happy that the water looked as if it was flowing over the rocks. It probably took 24 hours to get to this stage where the heavy structure gel is nearly dry and the white bits that are left there are useful to highlight where I want to put currants. So what I've done is started to use white paint. Now I'm at the stage now where I've actually put the water in for the waterfalls, because then I could make the water flow away from the waterfalls as if it was realistic. And I use a very lightweight brush, a small amount of white paint, and I pick out where the water is flowing. Down the sides, down the middle, dropping into those runoffs that I made earlier on. At the base of the waterfalls, There is some splash, as you'd get from a waterfall that's falling from quite a height. I used a fibre that gave it a soft effect of water landing, and I shall show you that in the third video. And I've also highlighted to give depth, because I realised it had got a bit shallow looking because I've been painting a lot of currants in it. So I used black, indigo, a small amount of grey, and I painted quite a lot of depth around the waterfalls themselves and a little bit more in the actual rocks and where the water falls off. And I put some reeds on as well. This is the top of the diorama under the bridge where the river comes in from outside, and I used exactly the same effects and techniques to create this. I used my paint initially to create the movement, and then I replicated that using the heavy structure gel, and once that was dry I picked out the waves and the movement and the top of the waterfall with dabs of white paint to make it look really realistic. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video and that the hints and the tips and the information that I've given you in it will be useful when you come to build the scenics on your own layout, possibly in a different way to the way that you thought you might want to do them. Thank you for watching this How I Did It video, and I do hope that the hints, tips and information contained in it have given you some new ideas for your own scenic model railway making. If that's the case, do please share it, like it, or tell anybody else about it that might be interested. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.